Alright, hello there everyone. I'm just going to get straight to the point because this isn't something I had plans to do. I've only been thinking about doing it the past couple of days. And of course, there's not much to say about it, so I'll try to be quick, especially since you've probably seen dozens of videos. And if you're tuning in, you're probably only doing that because you're one of my subscribers. So I appreciate that. So first, I want to get any potential bias out of the way. So I'm going to explain my personal past with Seth the Programmer. And it's not very extensive, so it'll be over pretty quickly. I first met Seth on the battle forums on Google Plus, which a lot of you probably didn't even know existed, but there used to be a pretty strong comic book anime community on there, which also led to a pretty strong debating community for those subjects. And I saw Seth there, and I had mixed feelings about him at the time. He told me about how the movie villains didn't scale to the canon series, which at the time I did believe, but now I know it's correct. But that forced me, from my limited perspective, to have a negative perception of him for trying to tell me that, because I thought it was stupid, even though it was absolutely correct. And then he did stuff like debating Raditz soloing Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece, because there's no real moon-level metas for them at the time, but Raditz concretely scaled above several moonbusters, so I used to think that was kind of interesting, because I thought a lot of people downplayed Raditz. I'm the Raditz fanboy, so in that era, I had kind of mixed feelings about him. And then, from there, he went to YouTube, and obviously, I went to YouTube not, kind of long after him. But, some of my first debunks were on his videos. And it's not like I was a fan of his, I didn't watch his content, but every once in a while, I'd see something where I'm like, I'm curious about what he's going to say. And then, from there, I went ahead and, made my videos. Never got super strong response from him, not that it matters very much. But that's it. I'm not a big Seth the Programmer fan. In fact, you could probably say in the past that I hated him. That might be kind of strong. I didn't like him. Hate probably too strong, but I didn't like him. I didn't like the opinions he was putting out there. And when I really didn't like them, I debunked them. But over time, my opinion of him is actually becoming more positive. As his scaling, in my opinion, got better. I was like, that was my main issue with him. And, sure, he was kind of an asshole, but, so am I, to an extent. Obviously, you guys don't see much of that, even though our channel banner says two assholes. We're actually very cordial to people, which I guess just goes to show, the difference in how we attempt to entertain people, even though I do try to be a little dickish as a character. Just, I don't know, I guess being rude to strangers just isn't something I'm that capable of. Which is exactly in the contrary to Seth. Even though, like I said, if you've been watching his streams, which I didn't, I caught highlights and stuff. The way he was talking about, being better, how he should have handled some of his debunks of the past differently because they, ended up destroying people's careers or ruining their attitude, or how he was too aggressive and all those things. I was like, okay, that's fair. So he's becoming less aggressive, and he had better scaling. So I was like, all right, maybe I like Seth the Programmer. In fact, part of the reason why I made this video is because I was originally, before all this stuff happened, going to make a video telling people to get off of his dick. Because it's impossible to go to any power scaling forum on Reddit, Comic Vine, or any of that other stuff without seeing some opinions about Seth the Programmer. And even though I'm not a fan of his, I was seeing stuff where people would say things that just blatantly weren't true. And then they'd be like, well, I don't watch him, but, I heard this. But, how's this man living so rent-free in your head that, you have this negative perception of him off of shit he didn't even say? But this isn't a video to defend him, obviously, because of what happened. And what happened is, Clyde dropped a 3-hour video exposing Seth. And in addition to that, he also dropped a 1.5-hour, I believe, video with the Naruto vs. Ichigo main animator to describe, the poor treatment Seth did of that entire situation. And then there's Noodle's video, which is, I think, 2 hours, which I think is probably the best video. That's probably the one that most convinced me that Seth is probably 100% guilty. And then, of course, there was a 6 to 8 hour live stream that was done with Keemstar that started with Clyde, then moved on to Seth, which also had Seth basically admitting to some of the worst allegations. And then he had a guy who tried to defend him, who said that the guys trying to cancel Seth had ulterior motives, which is not a defense of Seth's actions. It's just painting the motivations of the opposition, presenting the facts. So that guy was no help at all. So it's currently my opinion that Seth's probably guilty. I will watch whatever video he puts out to defend himself. But, he admitted it. And, if you were on Twitter at the time, you saw that he apparently did a Joker laugh when he did so. And I wasn't able to catch the entire thing. I might go back and watch it after this video's up, maybe, or before I put this video up. But based off of what I've seen, I think it's too concrete to argue against. Now, I can understand that, being an asshole, like I said earlier, it's a persona. It's entertaining. But, like, when you're doing that all the time, you're doing that in private. And, the same thing, telling jokes. Like, I like jokes. I like edgy jokes. But, asking a 16-year-old for nudes in DMs, not that big of a joke. I mean, because after you get them, you just have child porn now. And, like I said, several screenshots in Noodle's video definitely paint the pedophile allegations a lot stronger than that. Like, I could let that slide as it being a stupid idea. Like, you shouldn't have done that, and you're an idiot for thinking that it was a good idea. But at least I can understand from a troll mindset why you think you could do that. But the other stuff, there's just no redeeming that. And how you treated people that you consider to be your friends, like, Clyde and Chuck and Carthu. And even though I'm not the biggest fans of all those people, I mean, I like Clyde, but, like, even if I'm not the biggest fans of those people, that doesn't mean they deserve to be treated poorly. All right, and I think because I got some of the first-hand experience of, like, Seth trying to scale himself above other people's debating skills by saying them against people. Because, like, he sent Chuck into my Discord after we debunked their video on Flash vs. Goku. And that's just a speculation, because we ended up not actually debating. But I'm assuming that's what his goal was there. And then he still would chastise Chuck by saying that he gets beat by randoms. Like, that's your friend? Even if it's true, like, you can dress it up a little bit better. So I completely understand where all these allegations are coming from, because it's a clear pattern of behavior that Seth has, and that's why I'm inclined to believe that the allegations are true. And while we're on the subject of, being on the brunt end of what, Seth did, the community response to this is the main reason why I wanted to make this video, because I think it's just been completely just terrible in certain aspects. The memes on Twitter, pretty funny. Saved several of those. And Six and Swag came out to talk about this, and how they were manipulated to an extent, and what they've seen, and then there's MJ, who someone I used to know on Google Plus as well. I haven't really seen his response, but I can believe he was pitted against Clyde. Like, it's just completely ridiculous to have friends and to play them and to treat them like this. But then you have other people who haven't spoken out against this. And I can't say that I blame them, all right? Especially considering some of the allegations against Seth include that he had and enforced doxing. Like, when you're in that kind of situation and you're afraid of getting doxed, and especially if he knows personal information about you, you're not going to be able to speak out about it. So I want to tell you guys to try to give some people a break, because, we don't want to put them in that situation where they could potentially be putting themselves or their families in danger. Now, Seth claims that, he's been trying to be better, and I like to believe that, but everyone should deal with the worst case scenario. That's just being far more reasonable. So for the people who are doing that, I don't blame them. And I think you guys should keep that in mind too. And then there's the worst part of this reaction, which is what I really want to talk about, where you got people like Mastor Media, who spent some time in his video to just dunk on people who have had bad things happen to them because they criticized him in the past. Alright, just because Seth is revealed to be a bad person doesn't mean the things he used to say, which had merit, no longer have merit. Because I've seen people, use this to lampshade of, like, oh, anyone who scaled this high did this, or, anyone with this opinion was like that. Like, this has no effect on his opinions. This is just Seth's own personal mindset that he fostered that created this environment where, those weird things were happening in his Discord server. It's not really emblematic of the anime community, which I've seen people say. No, this is a subsection of the anime community for debating. Specifically, like the Discord anime debating community that Seth was a part of. Alright, this is not completely, a showing of the anime community in general. It's way too small of a subsection of that. And it's not even a complete showing of the debating community. Because then you have debating communities for pretty much every subject, politics, philosophy. Like, Seth wasn't a part of that. I mean, he tried to be to an extent, but he's mostly just an anime guy. As he admitted himself several times during the stream. He's like, when he claimed that, he wasn't trying to get his life ruined or ruin other people's lives over anime. Like, that's what he was. So to try to pin this situation on the entire anime community, you're painting with too broad a brush. And, if you don't like him, if you didn't like him before, and now you feel like you have more justification not to like him, I mean, sure, whatever. That's okay. That's your prerogative. But that doesn't mean that, anything that he said of value, loses value now. And I will say that, as someone who thought he was getting better, it does come as quite a shock to me. At least because I was like, yeah, he was a dick, but it was a character. And I guess it just wasn't. It's just who he was. And so in a way, I'm kind of glad that we didn't become closer, because I could have just been one of these people that was caught in this weird cycle. I probably would have gotten out of Dodge, but it's easy to say on the outside looking in. And for people like Mastor Media who, engage in copyright striking, you're not as bad as Seth in terms of, certain allegations, but you're still not a saint. Like, you still did bad things. And to try to take, Toy abusing the copyright system to bully Mark's channel and seeing that as a victory, you're disgusting. You're disgusting. You're disgusting, and you're not significantly better than Seth. You're only better because you're not literally the worst human being ever, which is what some of these allegations would paint Seth as. So if you're someone like Mastar, chill out, man. Alright? Sure, enjoy the memes, get your easy dunk, but don't pretend that you have any care for values of virtue. Utterly ridiculous. Now, all that being said, this video is getting too long. I've recorded this a couple times, and it was a bit too long for my taste, so I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. Especially since I'm using a new microphone. I'm not sure exactly how much it's picking up. Now, what do I expect to happen from this? Well, Seth was losing about 10k subscribers a day at the start, where he dropped to around 900,000 from 935,000. So I can expect that he'll continue to drop. I don't know if he's going to drop at a super high rate, because you have to understand, when you have an audience as large as Seth's, it's not that easy to lose people. You really have to do something wrong for your career to truly be over. So I'd be surprised if he lost even half of his subscribers by the time this was finished. So I don't think he's going to stop making videos either. It's too profitable for him. Even if his name is smeared, even if no one likes him, even if no one collaborates with him, which some people probably won't, because there's monetary incentive to do so, it's just unlikely that his YouTube career is over in any real capacity. He's just going to be significantly smaller at worst. And as for the debating community, this is part of the reason why I was never that interested in Discord, because I kind of felt it just kind of fostered this negative community. That, and I don't know, they always screw me on my my password and stuff, but I expect it to maybe shape up a little bit. Hopefully people watch their servers more carefully and don't let minors in. I know I didn't really do that, and I haven't even been in my server for a very long time, so I'll probably try to shape that up myself personally. But all you can really do is try to be better yourself. Alright, this is the time for individual personal accountability. And so my suggestion to anyone watching this video, if you're interested in this kind of community, is just to go out there and be positive. Alright? If someone has a bad opinion, dunk on them, sure. But do it in good fun. Alright? We're all just trying to enjoy our hobby. We like arguing about fictional characters that don't really exist. There's no stakes in this other than the couple of people that are good enough at it to make money off of it. So just try to have fun with it. Before I end the video, I will want to talk about Victory's response to the situation. We're a lot harsher than me. He basically he considers him to be guilty. And he thinks, if he didn't want this to happen, he should have done that. And, I can't really fault him. I do say that I hope, personally, that Seth gets the help that he needs, because this is clearly the actions of someone who is unwell. And it is my hope that he gets the help he needs. Whether or not anything legal needs to happen, that's up to the law to decide. I did see some things that are questionable, but that's neither here nor there. I hope that Clyde and the others who are in this kind of cycle with Seth can recover. And after that, there's not really anything else to say. Since this is a video I put up, I will briefly touch about what's coming to the channel, because I know it's been a long time since I uploaded, and this is not what I plan to release next. So, to keep it short and sweet, I'm going through schooling for my career right now, since obviously it's just a hobby, and that's the reason why it's been a while since I've uploaded, because I've had to study. But hopefully I should be finishing up soon, and I'll be starting my career going forward, which will be very exciting, even though I will be doing other schooling, because I want to do a joint profession, but that's neither here nor there. So that's the reason for my absences. I'm going to try to release at least 2 more videos this month. I want to get back to my video week schedule. And here are the planned videos I have coming forward that you have to look forward to. The GT scaling, part 2 for the Baby Saga, will be coming out soon. especially since Mr. Fusion has been making his videos on GT. I have a video about battle powers and why they're relevant even today coming out. That'll probably be the next video I do, just because it'll be a very short topic. The review of No Way Home, of course, will still be coming. And, of course, there's my big video I've been planning to do about planet busting in Dragon Ball. So you can look forward to that. And then there's going to be my Flash War series, which I'll hopefully be getting off the ground this year, where I'll be pitting certain characters against each other to determine who's truly faster. And based off of the name, Flash will be a recurring theme throughout those videos. And I'm thinking about starting with Superman, though I might also start with Sonic. Who, speaking of, I'm finally going to be finishing my series of Sonic videos. I've been going back through to do the scaling. As you know, I didn't really do any debating because a lot of that information kind of went in one ear and out the other, aside from the video itself, because those comics are pretty crappy, to be honest with you, for the most part. So I've been watching all the shows that potentially tie into the canon, including Sonic X, and reading the Sonic X comics, and then watching the shows that Sonic comic was based on, or based off the comic. I'm not sure which is which. The only thing that I won't be including for the videos of my debating going forward is the games, because I don't care to play them. Maybe you can convince Victory to get on that with me. That being said, I appreciate your time. This is a really heavy subject, so I didn't inject too much levity, other than maybe some memes up on the screen. But I think the real takeaway from this is to do better, and that applies to Seth as well. That being said, I appreciate your time. You guys have a good rest of your day. And to anyone who is personally affected by Seth, I hope you're doing better, and I hope whatever minute downfall he has from this comforts you from the pain you had to experience. This has been Top 108, the Radio Channel, signing out.